Modular Synthesizer podcast. We are going to talk everything modular synthesis today. My name is Blue Nautilus.
And hi, I'm SynthDad coming to you from a very dull and rainy Dublin.
What's going on? This is Ase Digi from LA.
And this is Stu J from LA. Hey there.
And I'm in LA, of course, today as well. And we're just going to talk about what's going on in our modular lives and what's going on in modular news and in the world. And I thought I would just start with some personal news, which is that I've decided I'm going to go to the UK for Machina Bristronica.
Ooh.
Yeah, Machina Bristronica is the synth trade show there in Bristol. It's a couple days long. It seems like it's been growing over the past few years and getting bigger and more popular. You were you there last year?
I've gone the last 2 years. Went when it first restarted. I think it used to be on. I don't recall the originals, but it was just one day. 2 years ago, it was only one day, and that was just too short. So last year was 2 days in Bristol. And it's great because it's like Super Booth, but it's a bit smaller. But like we'll talk about it later on. I think in the show we can get into it.
Yeah, and we'll have a Seaside Modular table there. And one of the things that I am like struggling with, maybe I can get some on-air advice with you guys, is traveling with my stuff. So I'm actually planning on taking these two Halliburton cases with me. But the question is, how in the world do I do that? And like, maybe we could talk about traveling with modular in general, because I have in the past taken like one case as a carry-on, which is fine. It's never a problem. You always think that TSA is going to bother you because it looks like more like a bomb than anything than even a bomb does. But they never really bother me. And one of these cases will fit in an overhead bin. But if I have like more than one case, how in the world do I get it to the UK?
Interesting. And you're traveling solo, yeah?
I'm traveling solo, yeah.
So you don't have anyone else who can use it as their carry-on?
No, I mean, I almost convinced my wife to come with me just to help with this issue. And I was like this close, but it didn't work out.
I'd recommend having hauled my gear across the Atlantic to you guys and to lots of other places many times. What I would do is you'll have a check bag. I strongly recommend getting a check bag. And I always put one of if I have two cases, I'll put one in the check bag, just wrap it in jeans, wrap it in padded.
Risky.
It is, but I've done it 4 or 5 times transatlantically. Transatlantically, is that a word?
And what kind of case were you putting in there?
It was the Bafaco 104 HP 7U case, which is pretty hefty. The big problem is not size. The big problem is weight. And you just got to watch your weight. You don't want to go over whatever your 20 kilo, 23 kilo limit is. And then the other one is carry on. And that way, at the very least, if the worst happens and they lose your suitcase, at least one of the things is with you. Because you're going to want to bring other stuff. You're going to have patch cables, you're going to have stickers and handouts and power converters and a toothbrush maybe. So, you will need to have a check bag. So I've done that a good few years. The reason is, we all think, oh yeah, it'll fit in an overhead until, of course, you get there and the overheads are full or whatever. But I've never had hassle at the airports, and I've traveled extensively with modular gear and synth gear, both in carry-on and in my checked bag. If you think about it, a modular case is just mainly empty space. It's pretty much just a big box.
Do you have the modules in the case in the suitcase?
Yeah, I have it ready to go. Sometimes I've even packed it pre-patched with some basic patching in it. So it just pops out of the suitcase ready to go. The only danger with that is if there's any pressure, you can end up bending the wires and that puts pressure on the jacks. So maybe don't do that unless you've got like tendrils or low profile cables. Yeah, right. I've never had it. Everything's ready to go. Check the tightness of your nuts when it comes out because they get vibrated a bit. Beyond that, though, never had an issue with it. And that's how I've always done it, which is probably going to sound awful to a lot of people who travel with gear because they're all like, get Pelican cases and this and that and the other. But honestly, that hasn't really failed me for just going, point to point. Like if you're going to get into some complex travel setup, like with trains and stuff, you're moving a heavy suitcase around. But if you have a wheelie bag, it's just.
I do have to go on a train too. So Pelican cases, is that like the pro way of doing it? Those are like the big black cases with like the foam inside.
Yeah, or bright
custom
yellow,
foam
as the case may
cutouts.
be. I have a bright yellow one. I can grab one in a moment and hold that up for those who want to see. But I used mine for a custom 6U 104 HP case that I built myself. And that Pelican case is what I used to carry it. But I've really not been using it too much lately because I've switched, wouldn't you know it, it's right here. This is now my primary travel. It's black hole. Sorry, my voice is probably coming in and out. A black hole case. There we go.
Yeah.
I love this thing. It's solid as a rock.
are
They
cool.
don't make them anymore, but you can sometimes find them on Reverb. And it's just a bit smaller. And so, you know, for me, the question has shifted from how do I bring this big thing to how can I do more with less? Now, your situation is different. You're going to be showing off modules. You need built out cases for people to experiment with and play with. So your case is somewhat, your use case is somewhat unique, but my plan has been to shrink when I'm traveling.
How are those cases when they're closed up? Are they nice and solid? The blue and
The
the
black
pink?
hole?
You mean these right here?
Yeah, yours. The ones
Yeah, I
behind
mean
you.
they are. They're like, you know, they were originally suitcases for travel.
Yeah.
That's
So I think that
what they're
one in the
camera cases, I
backpack,
guess.
one in the carry-on probably isn't a terrible approach. I've never traveled
Yeah.
with two cases. I've always just been, toss it in an IntelliGel backpack and toss that in my regular backpack and get all the cables and headphones and everything else and power adapters in another bag and you're good. But yeah, this is a different situation.
Anybody have any travel horror stories with synth stuff?
Well, mine would be when I was going to, NobCon 2 years ago, and I had my Amalgamod case, the big, 104 HP 12U. And I just arrived at the airport here in Dublin, got out the back of the taxi, lifted it out the back of the taxi, and the handle snapped and the case fell on the ground, on the concrete right there on the road.
Oh, no.
I have a long flight ahead and now I don't have any way to carry this bloody case. And like it was the little washer kind of nut on the side had snapped. And I was a little bit stunned. So I had to carry it on my shoulder. Now, those things are heavy. If you're carrying one of them on a shoulder strap, it was really heavy. So I'm going through duty free and I'm on my way to the gate. And of course, the bloody thing slips off my shoulder,
No.
crashes down onto the floor in the airport. And, airport floors are not soft. So, yeah, it survived. So, testament to the Amalgamod case for holding it all together. But safe to say, I was not pleased.
And nothing inside the case was damaged?
Nothing inside the case was damaged. The case
Wow.
it was
Wow.
in the insane padding of the Amalgamod bag, which I'm holding up here, which is really, really tough. It's just unfortunate that the little washer on the side of the handle thing that doubles up as the hinge snapped. Because beyond that, the thing is, it's industrial. You can't really, it's bulletproof.
Yeah. I don't know if this is a nightmare situation, but I have a fun one involving travel. I'm sure a lot of folks listening, and no doubt my buddies here on this podcast. By the way, before we continue, we're missing today. We're missing Moonbass Alpha today. Moonbass Alpha. I just revealed now it's going to be all over the press who he is.
We're just going to bleep it out.
Yeah, but he's with us in spirit. I look forward to having
He's
him
off on
rejoin us on the
a
next
secret
one. but-
mission.
Yes. So I'm sure as so many of you can relate, time for some of us, many of us is really limited. And so for me, flights are great. If I'm on a long flight, especially cross country or heading from New York to Europe, I'll use whatever time I can to use modular. And I travel with a Cristonia battery, which SynthDad you turned me on to, and I plug that thing in. Maybe it's a little 4MS pod or even something slightly bigger than that. And I'll get on the flight. I never have trouble in security. Shockingly, this weird device, send it through security. They don't take it. The backpack gets selected because they want to make sure some hair gel is up to snuff, but the Eurorack goes through. But there was one trip where I set it up. Everyone else on the flight is sleeping. I know I'm not going to be interrupted. I light it up, I put on my headphones, and I'm patching for a while. Suddenly there's a tap on my shoulder. And I look up, and it's 2 flight attendants and, I don't know, a co-captain. And I said yes. Oh, and I didn't have my, I think I was giving my ears a rest at the time. So I was just moving some cables around and, doing something. I had the headphones off. And they said, I'm so sorry, sir. We need to ask what this is. And there was like real concern, and they had, a presence. And so I said, well, here you go. And I put the headphones on, I hit play, and it was just some silly little beat. And she started bopping, and she takes it off. She goes, okay, thank you. But it was great.
Continue.
Yeah. But
So
then,
your hair
you
looks
could also
great.
see the people across the aisle from me looking like, what is going on? There's a guy with a weapon. Something's happening. And nope, just Eurorack. Just Eurorack.
So
Braver than me. I've brought a Digitone onto the plane. I brought obviously my Deluge, but I've never actually taken the modular out while I'm sitting on the plane and started patching.
No, I don't take a 104 HP. A little thing.
a similar thing happened to me. I have the M8. It's that little handheld tracker device, which really looks like some kind of like you're programming or something. And I was actually at a poker table in Los Angeles. And when you're sitting there at the poker table, a lot of times you just do nothing. So I bring this thing with me, and like while I'm playing, I'm like making music. And the dealer and the floor person like stop the game, and they come up to me and they're like, "Excuse me, but are you trying to hack our Wi-Fi?" And I'm like, "No, no, I'm not. No, this is music."
That's great.
Listen.
I'll show you this too. I've been traveling with this quite a bit now. It's an ALM case. It's about I don't remember the exact HP, but about the width of a Moog Mother 32. And it's really great. You want to put together a little percussion heavy thing or small ambient case. Gets a little crowded. It's a little shallow. And you'll see that there are 9 headers in it, and then it comes with one of these, so you can add more modules. But once you do that, it gets a little unwieldy. But if you want to put a few large modules, maybe there's a complex oscillator and a sequencer and some utilities, it's really perfect. I've really been enjoying it for that.
That's actually something that has come up when people talk about, the meta module from 4MS. Because, it's a module that lets you run VCV rack patches on it, which sort of it sounds a little ridiculous. Like, why not just get a laptop with VCV rack? But if you're putting together a compact travel case, you want each module to really earn its place there. You want each module to, earn its keep, if you will, in terms of how much space it's taking up. And it's a great module for that, because you could have so much kind of like envelope generators, effects, and end of chain stuff all in this one module. So you can shrink your setup down an awful lot with that. When I was away on a family vacation recently, I had much like used to, I had a palette case with me, just a little 62 HP palette case with just the 4MS module in it and one or two other bits, and built a whole like techno patch using it as an end of chain. But it just showed, hey, you can do this with just like a smart choice of modules that you probably wouldn't put in your larger setup, because you want everything individually accessible.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That meta module can basically be anything. And for a long time, my travel making music strategy was just using VCD rack on my laptop, which you can do anywhere. You can pull that out on the plane or wherever it is that you are. Stu, didn't you recently get a new piece of gear for travel purposes? Just
I
change
did.
your travel strategy.
I did. So I have a history. I have a history when traveling with the family or alone of taking quite a lot of gear with me. So my wife will say, we're really trying to pack light. And my answer to that is always, exactly. I'm only taking an IntelliGel 7U, 104 HP. I'm not going to take all the patch cables. I'll try to get, a little more creative with my patching. And it's become a thing. And even if I'm taking electron boxes, I have a Digitone, a Digitakt. I love them. There's still the plug and the battery. They don't have a built-in battery, so it's just more wires. So a couple times now while on the road, my wife has caught in the wild. There was a guy at the gate somewhere, And oh yeah, no, it was a guy at the gate. And then on a recent trip to London, wouldn't you know it, Moonbass Alpha had dinner with us, and he pulled out his OPXY, as the guy at the gate also had an OPXY, and showed it to her. She loves design, and the design of it appealed to her. So she thought it looked great, and she thought this could be a great solution for her being less annoyed while still allowing me to make music on the road. And I wound up selling a bunch of stuff, because that's a whole nother subject. We could talk about gear acquisition and our philosophies behind that. But I sold a bunch of stuff and picked one up. I'm going through the manual now, learning it. It's a ton of fun. And it is truly perfect for travel. Of course, this is a Eurorack podcast. It does not scratch that itch. So there are no rules here. I'm still going to travel with Eurorack from time to time. But for keeping the peace, the OPXY is worth every controversial penny, I would say.
Really? So you're liking it so far?
I'm really enjoying it. Yeah. It just it makes it easy to get things going quickly. And then there's still room for depth. There's still room for depth. So far, so good. I'm still learning it, though. I'm no expert on it yet, but early experiments have been positive.
Could you use it as a MIDI sequencer for...
You can. You can. It does do MIDI. It does do MIDI pretty well. It has one output that's assignable. You can assign it to MIDI, CV. There are more. I haven't memorized it, but so far, yeah, it's fairly flexible. It doesn't feel to me as much of a beast as the Digitakt or the Digitone. I don't know why maybe it's because they're bigger. They just feel so solid to me. Yeah, but
does it do Bluetooth headphone output?
Well, what's that?
Like, can you pair it with your AirPods instead of having to have like a wired headphone connection like you do on the Digitakt?
I don't know. I don't want to say no, because if I'm wrong, I don't want to. I don't want to give them a
built-in battery and not having to have wired headphones would be, and it's tiny, obviously. Yeah, traveling with a Digitakt or Digitone is its own thing. I mean, that thing's not light. It does take up a decent amount of space. You still need all the support cables. So I think the net we've got here is that traveling with Eurorack or music hardware gear in general is not that easy, and there is no 1, 2, 3 approach.
Yeah. And it's interesting how a couple of the solutions we talked about are actually kind of getting away from Eurorack. We talked about something like a Digitone or an OPXY, and this gets people talking. But SynthDad, you mentioned the 4MS. What do you call it again? The meta module. It seems like the solutions to traveling with Eurorack are kind of to not travel with Eurorack, right? Because some may say that the meta module is a little computer that simulates Eurorack, but it's not Eurorack. I'm not saying that.
Not being.
Maybe I am, maybe I'm not.
Shots fired.
Curious to get the group's take on that.
I mean, it really comes down to, if you're going to travel with any sort of musical gear, you have to make allowances for it's big, it's bulky, and it's heavy and somewhat fragile, right? So it depends on what it is you're doing and where you're going. I've seen somebody who's done an excellent series on this is actually Serco, and he on his channel has literally got videos how I pack for gigs, and he's got it down to such a fine art because he's traveled so much for gigs that he can do an 84 HP 6U, I think it is, Eurorack setup, and I think he's a Digitakt 2 and the Oxybum. And that's his setup. And he has those dialed in. He has the bags, everything perfectly sized, carry on. And, he knows what he's got because he's got it set up to perform with. I think the big problem for me is always I'm trying to bring something new each time. And it's like, I'll pick a bundle of modules I want to play with. And, it doesn't always work out so well. But you can do it, but you just got to be ready to plan for it. It's just another layer of complexity in your travel plans beyond getting to the airport and getting through security. But I think if you just approach it from the point of view of like, I just need additional space, you're going to either have a checked bag or you're going to have heavier carry-on. There's definitely clever bags you can buy. Like I've got one that will fit the Bafako 7U case. You can put it on your back. You can fill it full of other stuff. just weighs a blooming ton. If you're ready for that and you've got, good core strength, yeah, you can carry that through the airport, but it is, it's going to put a strain on your back. On the other hand, if you're getting to a city where you have to walk to a train, get on a train, walk from the train across the city, say you're traveling around Europe, it's perfect for that because you're not dealing with pulling a wheelie bag over cobblestones or up and down stairs or through a busy tube station in London or something like that.
Oh man, that's you're making me nervous now about that.
Let's talk about Machina Bristronica, shall we then? Because you are on your way there. Why don't you tell them why you're on your way there?
I'm there because mostly because I want to go there and see what it's like, but also just to spread the word about our module Proteus from my company Seaside Modular. We'll have a table there and be showing off Proteus, but hopefully I have some time to see the rest of the show as well, because really that's my main purpose in going there is to meet the people that I haven't met that never leave the UK. And I'll see you there, SynthDad, of course, I hope.
Oh, yes.
And,
I literally the other day booked my hotel and my tickets for the show.
When
for those
where
who
is
know,
it? When and where is it? Yeah.
When and where.
Yeah.
I was literally going to say that. You took the very words out of my mouth. So, for those who don't know, Machina Bristronica is held every year for the last couple of years in Bristol. And this year is no different. It's the 27th and 28th of September this year in Bristol. And it actually is a lovely way to sort of bookend the year. So if you think about it, you've got Super Booth in May. And then a couple of months later, you've got Machina Bristronica in September. So what it is 2 days of music, talks, and there's exhibitors set up. There's an outdoor stage where DivKid does a really nice sort of cool improv on the couch, sort of chats with people, manufacturers and stuff. It's all on the brochure there. There's talks from industry luminaries. There's absolutely fantastic performances all day long. And it's indoors. It's in a sort of a very cool industrial warehouse venue in Bristol called, I think it's called Document. Easy to get to. There's a hotel, quite a lot of hotels nearby. There's one literally a 5-minute walk away, the Moxie Bristol, which everyone stays at. And so we all just hang out in the lobby afterwards, geeking out on modular and having beers and whatever. So it's a lovely vibe. The show has really come along. I think they've done a great job growing it, adding the second day, adding more talk tracks, which are really, really valuable because it's great to walk around and talk to people, but sometimes you just want to sit down and hear a more formal, shall we say, panel session. Not that anything's formal. It's all very chill and relaxed. And of course, then you're going to get top tier performers. Last year, I saw Tony Surgeon play. It was just amazing stuff. Great visuals. Mylar Melodies played one year, like really, really good. So it's a very, very kind of nice, relaxed vibe, but at the same time, because you're all in one location, think sort of similar to NobCon for our US listeners, you're all in one location. So everything is in one place and you're able to kind of get around everything. But there's actually a lot to see there. There is quite a bit now. It's really grown without feeling too crowded. So for me, it's now a definite fixture on the calendar, like Super Booth in May, Machina Bristronica in the autumn. And that kind of feels to me like 2 must-have events during the year.
Awesome.
And it's just a couple weeks after NobCon. So it's going to be
So you'll get your dry run in, your
stuff.
traveling dry run for NobCon and test it all out before you have to go across the ocean.
That's right, exactly. But it's going to be a lot of synth that month.
Okay, well, how about we switch gears a little bit from the travel and event stuff. I know we were kind of doing some quick updates. SynthDad, I was curious. I've seen you knocked out a couple of awesome videos lately with, I think, some ShackMat modules, right? Was it Griffin's Claw and Bishop's Miscellany Mark II? So how those been? How's it been getting to learn and use those modules?
I have quite a few interesting new modules on the desk, shall we say, and it's probably more than I probably bitten off more than I can chew. So ShackMat are on a roll now with some new stuff. You've seen me cover Griffin's Claws earlier this year, which is a 4-channel attenuverter, but with some very nice recording features and other things like that to it. And they've now added an updated version of their original Bishop's Miscellany called the Bishop's Miscellany Mark II, which adds a lot more kind of in terms of the processing. It's dual channel, it's got a screen, you can save things on an SD card. So if you wanted to use it for just sort of improvisational melodies, or take a melody that you're playing, say, out of a sequencer, some other sequencer you have in your system perhaps, record that and then mess that up, mangle it, save that, mess it up, mangle it, save another copy, and then you can replay all of those. It's really, really good for that kind of improvisational stuff. So, you know, if you do either ambient stuff where you want things kind of evolving, or even techno bass lines, both of those extremes, it can fit in quite nicely there. I think they're really on a roll at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to put together or just listen to a full percussion section from Shackmat. I think that, I know Circo's a big fan of battering ram. A lot of people are a fan of battering ram, but I really loved their hi-hat module when it came out. It sounded fantastic. So I'd love to kind of sneak that into the setup at some point.
Well, that's the one that you should stick around for, because they have a new one coming out later this year that they were showing at Superbooth. Lancer's Lash. I love how they come up with their names. I like, some companies have amazing naming systems, and it sounds really good, actually. It sounds really good. But in terms of kicks, if we're talking kicks, I literally just took delivery this morning of the new Bohm module from Ohm Force. And if you might have remembered them, they did the Ohmicide distortion module, which came from the original plugins, the distortion plugins they used to have. But the Bohm module isn't just a kick. It's a kick that has a kind of a side chaining and a performance effect module that go on either side of it. And after playing with that at Superbooth, it was like some fun. Like, you could get the whole techno rumble thing going on, and there was a lot that I'm really looking forward to that one. So that's going in a case right now. Just before we started here, I was actually getting that set up.
It's kind of like the Kick's ultimate hardware form, right? Because it's 3 modules now. So you're getting in the, I don't know what, $600, $700 territory. But Moonbass Alpha was nice enough to loan this to me, which I think is pretty close in the price territory for all 3 of those modules. But this is the Rabbit Elephant portal drum. So that's something that I've been testing around. It's so interesting to have the dual concentric pots, by the way. That's such a unique interface element, especially when you have the aforementioned sausage fingers pushing. But yeah, I'm interested to hear that, because that's a lot of HP dedicated to a kick. If you want your techno rumble, that's probably the place to go, though, because it is somewhat challenging to patch up your own and not be in the dog there.
What do you think of? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think they've approached it from the point of view of, it's not just a kick module. How do I turn it into a performance module? Like, how do we perform with a kick? What do you want to do with a kick when you're performing? Yeah. Interesting to put it through its paces. Like I said, the boxes literally arrived this morning. Haven't even unpacked them. So, give me a chance to get stuck in with it, and we'll see how it does.
I was going to ask,
is there a manual? Oh, sorry.
That's okay. No, I was going to ask Ozzy Diddy what you think of the Rabbit Elephant module, because I mean, talk about a company with a reputation. Natural Gate, one of the more expensive low pass gate type modules, an incredible module, incredible reputation, incredible sound. So it's kind of a big deal when they put something out. What do you make of it?
Yeah, so this is going to sound so terrible. I sold off my SSF kick, and then, funnily enough, so I haven't patched up my percussion section in a while. I also have the Modbap Trinity version 2 here. So this is actually the kick and the style of percussion I'm most excited about testing out. The short story is that, if you notice, there's 2 empty 7U pallets behind me. One of those needs to turn into a full percussion system. So I'll report back on the portal jump.
Excellent. Looking forward to that.
Any other sneak peeks or what's coming from the desk of SynthDad?
Oh, there's always new stuff coming. There was Flame had sent me some stuff to experiment with the Cosmos, which is their 4-operator, 4-voice, actually 6-operator, 4-voice FM synth module I've had for a while. And I really want to get into doing a video on that. And I have some new modules from a company called Flat 6, who have this, they make little sequencer modules, arpeggiator modules, and also a new again, a new voice module, 4-voice module from Nonopolis. Nonopolis, I think is how they pronounce it. They were at Superboot 2 years ago, the Antigone, or Antigone, I always keep mispronouncing it.
Antigone, I think.
Yeah, I have to experiment more with that. But then there's other things I want to make myself. There's tutorials on the Oxy One Mark II. I have a load of ideas there. Samarkanda, some ideas there on how to use it for dub techno. I want to make some videos with the meta modules like we were talking about previously. So time, that's all I need. If I had double the time in the day, there still wouldn't be enough cool modules to make videos with, you know?
It's really true. Finding time has been the challenge, and I've been making some decisions because of that. There are some modules that I've held on to for years, but I would call them beloved modules. But I let two go. Is that okay? Are we cool to talk about this stuff? Or you guys?
Yeah, let's talk about that because I was thinking the same thing.
Okay, so there are two
It
modules.
sounds like you've lost a loved one.
This is tough. But, the nice thing is, hopefully the company that makes them, Instruo, sorry, Jason, will be around for a really long time, and I can reacquire them when I do have more time.
CSL?
But
not CSL.
No, never.
Okay.
I will never part with my
ridiculous.
Instruo CSL. Get out of town. No, Arbhar and Lubadh.
Okay. I just have to say before you go on that I just sold both of those 2 days ago myself.
Okay, how are you? How are you?
2 days ago?
I'm, two days ago. It is an emotional thing. It's interesting to think about how it feels because I also have like a connection to both of those. I really, there's something I love about so first of all, the pronunciation of these modules. The module that's spelled Lubadh, I always pronounced it in my head as Lubadh or something until I heard Jason pronounce it. Yeah. And with his accent, it sounds just like he's saying looper.
Yeah,
and then
looper.
I
That's
understood
exactly
why
right.
it was called that. Yeah. So the Instruo looper module, it's just so cool the way it's designed, and it looks so neat, and it can do so much, but it just almost does too much, and especially with the different modes that it goes through, the different presets where you can change the preset, but there's not, it's kind of like the interface itself wasn't originally designed for all of the functions that it eventually took on. And so it became more and more complex to use. And if that was like the one instrument I owned, I would be like an expert looper operator.
Yeah.
But I just could never remember how to use it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And same with Arbhar. It's if I had more time, I would have kept them. Because when you don't have a lot of time and you're coming back to them after a bit of a break, for me personally, I need to go back to the manual. And if I have a little bit of time to make music, I don't want to have to go to a manual. The Lubadh in particular is a loss because for years now, it's been this presence, almost two eyeballs looking at me every time I turn it on. The eyeballs have kind of been right there up in the center. Yeah. And it's missing its eyes now, and it's really sad. And who knows, 3 episodes from now, I might be talking about why I reacquired Lubadh. So let's see. So far, I'm doing okay.
Loss and reacquisition.
Well, I can say it. There's other ways to get eyes. I have the Noisite 3D, what is it called? SynthDad.
Oh,
yeah. And it's got those two. They really look like eyes because it's got like an iris painted in each one of them.
Yeah.
But I felt the same way about the Arbhar. Honestly, I really liked it. It did some interesting things for me. I've just been exploring other granular modules. I got the Qubit Mojave recently, and I have a Clouds as well. And I think I mentioned to Stu recently that I think I might have just decided at this point that the granular synthesis is not for me because I just really it's these modules. I feel like they're fun to play with in the beginning, and I get a certain kind of sound out of them. That's nice to add as like little sprinkles on top of other things. But then it's like, how often do I want to use those sprinkles on things? And it just doesn't make anything too different for me after a while.
Yeah. What about SynthDad and Aussie? What's your relationship with ambient? I'm sorry, with granular.
Well, maybe
Granular.
I was about to chime in on the looper stuff. So yeah, I love that module and selling it. I bought the V2 expander and all that jazz. And my favorite time with it ever was when I took it to Kauai and I had it on a dedicated 6U rig, and I did some sound recordings, wave recordings, and loaded it in there, and just literally that was the centerpiece of the case for about 2 weeks while I was out visiting some family. So that
Nice.
I stopped having to refer to the manual. I figured out the preset loading. It always confused me, the preset loading, how I think you can only have 2 active presets at a time, if I'm remembering correctly. And then there's a certain
Yeah, you
flash
can't know which those are without
and you can't know.
checking the
Yeah, I was
USB
like,
stick.
what? But if you do dedicate yourself to it, it's an amazing module. I think all of those are saying that we just, the manual quotient of when you go back, you just have to reread and re-educate yourself. It's definitely not like getting on a bike. So yeah, I sold it too, but I've also made some of my favorite patches with it. Yeah, definitely a love-hate relationship, but an amazing tool.
I'm also in the I sell Lubadh camp because I too owned Lubadh, and I too looked at it daily on the shelf, Stu, and said to myself, I must use Lubadh. It is amazing. Instro are amazing. Jason is amazing. I am not amazing. I must account for myself. And it became like I couldn't quite, I watched all the videos. I figured I can get my head around it, but it was a matter of, okay, what am I going to use this for? How am I going to use this? What do I integrate this with? What I realized was much like what you said there, Blue Nautilus, it wasn't my workflow. Like you said, granular. Like, I don't have a looper workflow. I don't make music by layering loops. And so for me, once I kind of realized, hang on, it's not that I don't like this module, it's that this is not the workflow I work in. Realize, okay, I should sell this on to somebody who'll use it. And more importantly, don't ever buy a module again, because you're not going to use that one either. I think that actually was the real, for me, it was like some modules suit some people more than others.
I think you were smarter than me, because I bought the Stardust looper, and I actually do still use it every once in a while. I mean, part of the reason that I can pick it up is, while it's not my main workflow, I can use that workflow if it's easy for me to switch into it quickly. And the Stardust is just very immediate. You push the record button, you can record something, and you push the stop button and it stops, and you can record another layer over it, and you can just twist the knob to change the the time stretching and stuff like that. And so I don't have to remember anything. At least if I decide I want to dabble in that kind of looping workflow, I can just go to it.
Have any of you
have no interest in multigrain?
Well, I have an interest in it just because it looks like a great module, but I'm not going to buy it. I'm resisting that urge at all, because I know, I'm probably just going to end up in the same situation by using it.
You know, it's interesting. I think modules can be a lot like friendships and relationships. Some friendships and relationships might not be right at a certain time of your life, but could be right later, or vice versa. And my question I was going to ask is, have any of you gotten a module, not gelled with it, sold it, and then later on reacquired it and fallen in love? That's happened to me with maths, Make Noise Maths. Sold that when I was a beginner, reacquired it after having had my heart broken a few times and lived life for a while, and suddenly maths made sense to me. And I'm going through it right now with Oxy 1 Mark II. First time I tried Oxy 1. Very quickly, I decided it wasn't for me. Some times passed. I approached it a little differently. I know it's not a Eurorack module, but same idea. And now I'm really rather gelling with it. So have you had that experience?
I'm happy to hear you're enjoying the Oxy 1 now. That's good. I love that thing. So it's great that you
watch
SynthDad's
videos. They're really helpful. They're excellent.
Yeah, they're really, really helpful. I don't think I've done the selling and rebuying again, but I definitely have experienced the kind of thing you're talking about, where there was just a module that wasn't right for a particular stage of my sort of musical development, or what I was doing with Eurorack, that I kind of ignored for a long time, but then rediscovered later. I know that feeling, although I can't name a specific module I did it with.
You ever wonder if something's wrong with you? Everyone else loves this module. They're making such great things with it. I got it. I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't
No,
know. Are we ready for existential module questions?
it's never me.
I haven't rebought anything. Generally, when I make the decision to move on from something, I'm doing it for a clear reason, and also because I've run out of space, frankly. So I have to be kind of somewhat brutal about it. It's like there's a reason I sold this, and I can admit here among us friends and in front of the entire world, I've never ever used maths, nor have I ever owned maths. Do I really modular? I mean, that is like, is that it? Am I finished? Am I toast?
I haven't either.
I thought you were going to admit to being a Coldplay fan.
Oh dear.
No, sorry. So I definitely will put modules on the bench, so to speak. I think we all have an overflow section, not as fancy as SynthDad's, though. He definitely takes the cake for the module overflow wall sculpture, or the too many synths piece. But that thing's
It's
awesome.
overflowing, and I need an overflow to the overflow.
Of course, what a surprise! What a surprise! But no, one module that I put on the bench and I brought back and I tried to love and I sold was the Erica Synths drum sequencer. The way that does fills, I hated it, and I like fills, and I just could not get past some of the button interactions on that. But it's just like, I had an Arturia Rackroot 3U, and it's the perfect size to fit both the black sequencer and the drum sequencer. And I was like, fucking, this is the best controller skiff ever. And then I started using it. I was just like, man, it didn't take me where I wanted to go with the sequencing. And then you do have some regret. Like, did I not learn this correctly enough? Like, you see people doing some amazing things with it. And I put it on the shelf, tried to like it, put it back on the shelf, sold it. You just have to admit when something isn't vibing. But once something's sold for me, it's generally sold. But I will put, retire a module, but keep it in the studio for a while and revisit it. And then that's kind of decision time.
There are modules I've sold that I still kind of miss. And when I see them, I have a little bit of a nostalgia for.
Like what?
I remember the Dnipro dot little sequencers. I used to use those all the time, where they're just like, it's like a step sequencer. And it's just a bunch of
really
little
cool
dots that you can turn on and off. And it was just so nice to use, and I love the interface. And once I got the Oxy, I just started sequencing, using that all the time, and I wasn't using them. And I had this philosophy of getting rid of things I'm not using, but I do still miss those things.
Yeah, I think I sold one. I had bought two because they linked together. I think I sold one.
Yeah.
The one that's currently in the question mark pile, and I can't believe I'm going to say this because I'm looking at it over there, is my Deluge. And like, I've had that since the absolute.
Whoa. You've been a big supporter. Big supporter.
Huge fan, done tons of videos with it, and the community firmware is really coming along. But, and I have to be honest with myself, I take it off the shelf every year to recharge the battery to make sure it's still okay, but I haven't used it. And I'm so far out of the loop now on the latest firmware developments. I would be effectively learning a brand new device. It would be as if I bought a brand new device. So I just have to ask myself, like, why am I keeping it if I'm not using it? Should I use it? And then I have the whole guilty, should I be using it? Could I do something else with that money that's tied up in that device as well, of course. So, that's going to be a big one, though. That'll be a very emotional sale for me.
Yeah, I mean, the value of the module also weighs on the decision to keep it. It's harder to keep things that you're not using when they're extremely valuable. I sold a bunch of things the other day, including the two Instruo modules. In addition to those, I also sold a couple of my overflow delays, because I have a kind of a delay problem. I really love delays, and I like to try them all. And like half of my music is delays. I just make like one note and then I delay, repeat it for forever. I recently got another one because we, in the DivKid Discord community, we did a group build of this version of the Olivia Arts modular time machine. It's a version that was made by modified by this guy named Harry Richardson, who called his version the Tapomatic, and it's got 8 taps, and addition to it is it's got a pan control now on each of the 8 taps. And so that's really fun. And so now I have like 25 delays. So I decided to get rid of the Qubit Nautilus.
Okay.
The Qubit Nautilus was actually, I think my wife gave it to me as a birthday gift one year. I mean, because, my online handle is a Nautilus and I love undersea stuff and I love delays. So it seemed like this module was just like made for me.
It does fit.
It does, right? But I don't know. There's just nothing really special about it to me in terms of what it does. I really, for my main delay, I use the IntelliGel C legs now for almost everything, which also has a C theme. It's really great. And the Nautilus has, I guess, the special thing adds all these like kinds of distortion effects, which I didn't really use. So I just didn't really go to it very often. And then the other one that I ended up selling was the Magneto.
I did too.
The Strymon
I did too.
Magneto. Did you?
More delay
that's
than I
a
needed.
hefty module.
It's a hefty module, and part of the reason I bought it was like an opportunity thing. Like I saw a really good price for it, and I grabbed it. It is nice. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I just didn't end up using it over the other delays very often, and so worth so much that it was worth getting rid of.
What's everyone's go-to delay? I'm just curious.
I was about to ask you, Stu, you're pretty familiar with beads and delay mode, aren't you? That's something I need to mess around with.
I love beads in delay mode. It's to me, it's one of the most entertaining delays. Sounds great. Super cool with percussion at fast delay speeds. Just wild effects. I love it. I really fell in love with that. My go-to delay though is Make Noise Mimeophone. It's
God, I
love the Mimeophone. Yeah, that's a great delay. That was the first one that I got, and I'll probably never get rid of that one.
Mm-hmm. Likewise,
I'll never get rid of it.
Moonbass and Mimeophone together are just special sauce. And you can actually, I've been studying Mimeophone a bit more recently, and I've been using it a lot more, and it's actually way more capable than I was giving it credit for. And right now, if I just want a quick and dirty delay that just does the job, I'll drop in Chronoblob, and in a very small space.
Yeah. It's a great workhorse delay.
Good, clean delay.
Yeah, nice, simple, straightforward, does what it says on the tin. Does have it has a feedback effect loop in it that you can patch into if you wanted to get crazy. But that's what you'd be looking for. But now I too have a lot of delays, and I love delays as well.
Each of you has your own special collection problem. We got sequencers, delays.
Well, I'm a sucker for sequencers, I'll tell you that. But I do love delays, and a nicely done delay. Like some of the best delays I've ever built were on the Eurobureau, where you could actually hand build your own delay lines and everything. And some of the best effects I have are on the Zoya, which I kept. I sold the Eurobureau. And they're all delay based, and they just come, you just play around with clock divisions and mess around with stuff, and it starts.
Never understood that naming, Zoya and Eurobureau, but
Rolls off the tongue.
Okay, so I want to say one thing, which is that with this credit that I sold my stuff to the retailer Perfect Circuit, and the advantage of that is you don't necessarily get the best price in each individual item, but you can sell it all at once. You don't have to wait for each individual thing to sell, and they give you a little bit of extra incentive if you're going to get the money back as store credit. You get an additional bonus there. And so the thing that I am buying with all of these modules that I sold is going to be my very first Electron box. I've never owned one of these before, and thinking about it for a long time, but I bought the Digitakt 2. I'm going to go pick it up later today.
Congrats.
So,
I think that's a wise choice. I think that's a wise choice. I always say if I suddenly had to sell everything but one Eurorack thing and one Groove box, I would sell everything but my Moog Matriarch, because it scratches that itch, and honestly, you could spend a lifetime making virtually any conceivable sound out of that thing. And I'd keep Digitone too, because it's that powerful. And it's just getting more and more powerful as they continue to update the firmwares. They just put slicing in there, so it's a lot closer to the Octatrack than it used to be. Yep. It's missing that slider, but it's getting pretty close to Octatrack and much easier to learn. and carry around.
Any advice as I start to learn this thing?
Oh man, there's so many good resources. Why am I forgetting the manual? He does it. He does the manual design for Modbap too, but I'm forgetting his name right now. He makes a really good cheat sheet manual for Digitaks and Octatracks. I mean, YouTube. There's so many good tutorials now. What Dave Mech, and I wonder if Cuckoo did a deep dive.
Cuckoo did, and EasyBot Matt as well have done a good bit on it.
He's amazing. Yeah,
He seems like the
Mickey
master.
Tynes
he's the
has
guy.
some great tips out there. Yeah, just enjoy it. Like everything else, take it one piece of functionality at a time. Don't try to learn it all at once, and get used to the muscle memory
parameter locks.
Because once you can learn Digitakt 2, you can learn any Electron box, and they're just phenomenal. I can't say enough about it.
Nice.
Sequencers.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, the manual is not an instruction manual; it's more of a reference. So definitely, YouTube videos will show you like a workflow. But everyone has a different workflow with it, which is the flexibility with it too.
I'm gonna do a quick shout out. There's a guy named Ivar Tridi, Tryti, who does some amazing work with the Electron boxes. Like everyone, find that dude, support him. More people should know about him.
Yeah, absolutely. But he does less, like, it's not instructional at all, but really you just see his workflow and him build up these really incredible and complex tracks across multiple devices from the electronic.
See what's possible. Totally.
Nice.
What do you think, guys? We're getting close to an hour. Maybe we do a little news, a quick news roundup to kick things off, a little kind of outro.
The modular.
I was not
I'm going to kick it over.
What was that?
Kicking it over to Asa Digi on the Modular Bias News Desk.
It's amazing, guys. Thank you. No, it's not a crazy news week or news month or anything like that, but two new modules that came out that I thought were interesting were the Jasmine and Olive Trees Prio, which is a priority gate router, which is basically a build your own traffic is the way I'm taking it, where as long as you've got a matrix mixer and you toss Prio in there, you can start waiting and creating kind of like your gate controlling and your priority routing of how those gates, so you can, turn Plats into a little 3-channel drum machine or all that sort of good stuff you could do with traffic. And Prio's, I think, 4 HP. So it's a lot smaller footprint. And then just recently, Wrong Electronics released a utilities, massive, mixed utilities module called Quiver, which kind of seems like maybe Cold Mac on steroids without the crossfading. I'm not 100% sure. I still didn't dive into it, but has a lot of different sections as far as, full wave rectifiers, comparators, logic, sample and hold, noise generation. And,
it's like 75 jacks.
I love Jacktown. I call them Jacktown modules, but like, DivKit's Oct or the Instro Logic modules, they're nothing but jacks. I don't know why I love that sort of module design, but yes, this is definitely an entry into the jack heavy, jack first module design. I love it. And then, we were talking about multigrain briefly, but they did have the 1.2 update, right? So that's now live mode, which is the big standout there. And Jeremy Redme is recording. A bunch of other people have done some good videos on the 1.2 update, but I think that adds a lot of functionality that people wanted in multigrain and puts it, right up there as a very in-demand, granular powerhouse. I'm also excited to see when that their reverb module comes out. I've already forgotten the name, but from Superbooth, there's some real intel joking with the heat.
Yeah, it's called what was it called? Like Flow or something like that. What about, should we talk a little bit about Patchworks closing? The retailer from, is it Portland?
Seattle or Portland?
Seattle or Portland? Why do I always confuse those two cities in my head?
Pacific Northwest. We could just say it generically and make it sound like
that's right. Pacific Northwest retailer who we know have been struggling for some time and had done a kind of GoFundMe fundraiser to keep themselves alive, which was really controversial, and they caught some flack for that. Have finally completely closed their doors, both for their online store and. It just what makes me wonder, is this a sign of a kind of retracting Eurorack market, or is this just something that has to do with this particular store and their business, it's really, really hard to know.
Yeah. I remember visiting Patchworks in 2019 when Velocity was going on, and it was a beautiful location. I think bought a couple AI synthesis DIY modules and things like that. But, you know, it's all just, it's unfortunate for them to close for sure. You never want to see a nice scene, local, dedicated URX space close. So it's unfortunate. And obviously, I'm sure we all wish them well in whatever their future endeavors are.
And they had such a kick-ass logo.
Yeah.
And
they had a good, they had a great YouTube channel and some really good educational content. You know, I think if I'm trying to remember correctly, they had one of the better data demos. You know, DivKit did a great data demo back in the day, but I hopped into that one to just double check on creating manual voltages or something for data. But I remember they did help me out with a few modules back in the day too, with their education stuff.
I ordered a bunch of stuff from them online over the years, and they would always include like a little personal note, which was nice, you know, like keep on patching or something like that, like a little bit of candy, sort of Sweetwater style. So yeah, it's sad to see them go.
I was trying to think about something else on the news front. Is there are a couple of small events, I think, in LA. That's where majority of us are. Sorry, SynthDad. There is the Club Synth event on Saturday, July 26th. So that's a bunch of friends of the show, Earth 626, Aussie Nation. So that should be a really good electronic event. And then I just wanted to quickly shout out a new album from my friend Tiger Arcade, otherwise known as Earl McGowan. And he has a new LP out called Son of a Sun, which is kind of like dreamy, really chill, relaxing. So hopefully people can check that out on Bandcamp or other platforms.
Nice. Thank you, Otto.
Yeah, very cool.
All right. Anything else anybody else wants to say or talk about before we wrap up?
Nah, good talk.
Yeah, what's
good
on your
talk.
mind?
Yeah.
Before you know
Right,
it, we'll be doing NobCon stuff, and I think we're getting.
That's right.
Hopefully, we can sneak in another guest episode before we do anything NobCon related, right?
Yeah, I think so. We got a couple of exciting guests lined up. On a personal note, it's probably the last time people will see me in this space, as we're going to be moving back into our actual house in a couple of weeks. So it's probably the last podcast that I do in this strange room. But thanks for joining us. If you have stuck with us this far, and we'll see you in the next episode. Remember to find us. Our Instagram handle is
Rack Pack Show.
What is our Instagram?
I think it's Rack Pack Show. Or is that our
Rack Pack
Gmail?
Show. Oh boy, we should know that, huh? How can we expect them to know it if we don't know it? It is at Rack Pack Podcast.
Yeah, I should.
So, but go ahead and subscribe on whatever podcast app you're using to make sure you get the next episode, and we'll see you then.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.